Wait, is it so like it start?
Yeah.
We started the podcast.
Yeah, whenever you want to start.
Oh, I'm starting. Okay. Hi, this is Cheryl Mausen.
And this is George Robson.
And we are The Teacher Ate My Homework. You're supposed to say it at the same time.
Sorry. Okay, let's try it again. 3, 2, 1.
The teacher ate my homework. That sounds terrible. Today, we're doing a bookmark episode again with with George Robson, our other co-host, one of two.
Hi, guys.
A background on George. I've known him for... Well, we've already been over this in the other podcast for a long time.
They might not have listened to that one. So.
So I've known George since we were about 4 or so. Yeah. We did various plays together and programs in the summer and all that. And we actually were in a role together.
Oh yeah, that's
true.
We were
7 years old.
In the last podcast, yeah. Mm-hmm. What were you, 7?
We were 7 years old, and we were like a romantic scene.
Yeah, 7-year-old lovers is very inappropriate.
Yeah, we had like a little picnic on stage. Yeah. There's pictures. We'll find them somewhere. So I've known him a long time, and a little bit about him is that he went to school for acting at Pace University. He dabbled in that for a little bit. He's a musician also, so he plays a bunch of instruments. After school, he went to he. Sorry.
It's all good. Order's not important.
Well, yes, yeah, a little bit. It's a little important. He went to work at a Chinese gourmet restaurant for about 2 years. He's a server. And afterwards, he went to Nepal for about a little over a month, chilling out there, hanging with the peeps, taking pictures, blogging, all that. And afterward, he's come back and works for an online news company at the moment. So he's done a lot of stuff. You really have done tons of different things.
I try.
You're only 25.
Yeah, 25.
Recently 25.
Yeah, just 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Quarter of a century old now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
It feels like 25. I feel like a 25-year-old. What I imagine a 25-year-old should feel like. What that is, I don't know, but it feels right. It feels appropriate.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start asking you questions.
Cool, we'll get into it.
Let's do the podcast. Entering the podcast.
Tell me something. Molly, tell me something.
Hi.
It's all good. Glad to be here.
Late, absent, or tardy.
Where the hell did you come from? It doesn't have to be a teacher. It could be like your cousin or whoever. Best thing that I've ever done.
There has to be something human about that somebody's,
What I actually see is in lots of people, there's lots of things to admire.
So you've done, I've known you as a musician and as an actor, and now as a writer-ish thing for the news.
Yeah.
What do you see yourself as? This is a weird way of asking the question you always ask.
That's cool. I think the short answer, if people ask me, I was going to say if people ask me on the street, is if people stop me and ask me this question on the street, yeah. But if people ask me in passing or at an event or something like that, I guess I usually say, for money, right now I work for a news company, and so that's what I do for a living right now. And then on the side, I guess an artist that's how I view myself, I guess, as an artist.
Just an artist in general.
Yeah, just because I guess I'm trying to, in most of my endeavors, express something about myself or kind of connect with people that are not myself on an emotional level or an intellectual level. So yes, I guess artist is the title that I guess the hat that I'm most comfortable with.
So right now at the moment, what form of art, I guess, are you taking most of the time?
I guess the podcast right now. I would view, and it's weird because I feel like most people don't view podcasting as that, as an artistic endeavor.
Yeah.
But it's very similar to, the whole reason that I find this compelling is because coming from the music world, I did a lot of, I've recorded, I guess, 3 CDs now, and they've all kind of been basement tape kind of things. I have the equipment and stuff in my house, and I go down in the basement, and where we are now, actually, we're recording this in my basement. And so the process I feel feels similar to all the other kind of music stuff that I've done in the past. So yeah, the podcast I guess is my main artistic endeavor at the moment.
So in all these different forms, what do you like to communicate to people in your music and in I know you've done some gallery, like a gallery
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, I did some. I recently had a photo. One of my photographs from Nepal. It was in an exhibit up in Brooklyn. That's a hard question. Let me think about that for a second.
Need a soundboard to have sound.
Yeah, we need like the little sound bites. I don't know. I guess moments, like the capturing a specific kind of moment and feeling. So I guess that's nostalgia. I guess if I think about what I'm most often trying to convey, I think it's a sense of nostalgia. I'm just coming up with that now. But looking back on like all the songs that I really enjoy and the plays that I've written and that kind of thing, like the moments that I want to share with people are usually kind of nostalgic moments. So I guess that, like, I don't know, childhood events, or those feelings where like, oh, this is a night that I'll remember later on, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I know that you tried starting a podcast before.
Yes.
Or not that you like tried and failed, but you like started
Yeah, and then
like
stopped.
thinking about one. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a little different. So can you talk about that? What that was about?
Yeah, that was with a friend of mine, a good friend, Jeff Brzynski, and he came up. Once he was the one that came up with the idea. I wasn't the initiator with that, because in the same way that this was not my initial idea, that you came up with it, and then we kind of ran with it. So yeah, he came up to me and was like, "Oh, I'd really like to do a podcast. Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds cool." And so we started, and it really just came down to the fact that we were going to have to spend some money, and the time was going to be a little too much at that point. That he was working a full-time job, I was working a different full-time job, and our schedules just didn't work out. So we recorded, I think, two or three episodes, but we never aired them. And the whole concept, I think, was the meaning of life, and we wanted to humanize different versions of the meaning of life. So like for, obviously for someone who's from a conservative Christian background, that would be way different from someone who's, a hardcore atheist background or a Islamic background, or, all those kinds of things. So we wanted to give kind of a human voice to all those different viewpoints, because I feel like often we view those other ideologies and mindsets as like so foreign, but when you hear somebody talk about it, sometimes you can feel like it's a little more real and a little less ridiculous. So that was kind of the idea, but we never, like
Did
we
you
said,
guys interview people, or was it just
we were going to, but the two that we did were just test episodes, so it was just kind of we were going over our backgrounds. So mine was from kind of a small town, Christian background, and his was he's works at a lab and is very kind of I don't mean this in a terrible cliche way, but like very empirical, scientific, but so not quite atheist, but agnostic and kind of curious. That was kind of both our things. And so yeah.
Was there a goal to that podcast?
You mean like big picture goal? Like
Yeah,
I mean just to I think, as I said, to kind of humanize different viewpoints for people. I think you and I talked about when we first started this podcast, and we talk about asking this question to like a bunch of guests, and we've never actually gotten to it. It was the Hitler thing.
Oh,
that
yes.
the mother. There's that quote that is attributed to Mother Teresa, but I don't actually know if she actually said it. But she said, when somebody asked Mother Teresa, why do you do what you do? She said, I started doing what I do when I realized that I have Hitler inside of me. And so I think it was kind of, that podcast was kind of a recognition of that kind of state of mind of being like, well, we all have, horrible things inside of us. So let's try and shed some light on the fact that we might not all be as different as we think. Yeah.
Did we have different viewpoints on that?
I don't know. I don't know if we ever got into it.
I think okay, yeah.
I think it was
we
just.
talked
I
about
think
it.
we just liked the quote, but you didn't actually express how you felt about the sentiment.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it now.
I mean, you're
You'll never
welcome
know.
to.
Nope.
We'll do that in another bookmark episode.
Yeah, another bookmark. We can just have little
Yeah.
conversations. So, what do you think? There's a goal to this podcast? Because, like, you know, we
The teacher at my homework. you mean?
Yes. Mhm. In your mind, anyway.
Not other than just the one that we expressed, you know, when we do the opening of, like, you know, examining structure and seeing how different people handle life, I guess. Well, and I kind of like, right now what I like about the setup is that you and I are on the opposite ends of that spectrum. I mean, I like that I tend to be highly structured and you tend to not be.
No structure.
Yeah. And so I feel like it's a convenient, we didn't really plan that either, but it was a convenient kind of novel aspect of the show.
Yeah, that was just like as we were talking
Yeah.
about the podcast, we found out that.
Yeah, so I kind of like that we're on opposing sides of that.
Would you ever want to come to my dark side? No structure.
I mean, I think I've experienced lack of structure a number of times, especially growing up. Like before high school, I think I was very unstructured. Like even in high school, I was pretty unstructured. It wasn't really until college where, like, I started cleaning my room and like making my bed and and that sounds like insignificant, but now I make my bed in the morning now. Almost as a matter of principle, like no matter what happens during the day, I've gotten the bed thing out of the way. Like I've gotten the bed thing under control, so I can go on with my day. And it's not like I'll break down and like be like a mess if I don't make my bed, but it's kind of like a tool that I use to add a little bit of control to the day. So I think in college that's when I started to view things like that as tools instead of like, I think in high school I was more lazy. I was like, you know, whatever, like I can sleep, I just sleep into my bed, my room's a mess, it's fine. Like, and that is fine. Like if you can process life with a mess around you, then I think more power to you. But I think in college I started to realize that I was more functional in tidy places. Yeah.
So you always ask about like people's, well, I don't know if we do it actually on the podcast, but like people's morning routines, like what do you do? And I know you have a very extensive, like very almost written out routine of what you do. So can you tell us your routine?
Yeah, like the first hour to like hour and a half of my day, basically I wake up, first thing, drink 16 ounces of water. Then if it's nice outside, I try and get outside onto the deck and meditate for 10 minutes, pray for around 7. That one's a little more amorphous because it's more of a, you know, conversational thing as opposed to just to do it and forget it. But yeah, so like 7 minutes prayer, then I stretch for probably about 10 minutes. Then I take a shower, and then I make breakfast, which is always 3 eggs, about like a bowl of cereal, whole milk, whole grain.
I'm like cringing right now.
Yeah,
I'm hating all of this.
and 1 orange, and then sometimes if it's late in the day, like I've slept late, like on a Saturday, or like a Sunday or Monday, if I sleep into 11, sometimes I'll like have kale or spinach with breakfast to get the greens going early, and then from there on out, everything's open ended. But that's like the first hour and a half of the day.
Why do you need that? I just, like from an understanding standpoint, because that would drive me nuts.
Yeah.
And I did have that. It's kind of fun. I had that when I was younger. Like I would wake up, I had to get in the shower right away. My dad made my breakfast, and he had it like Monday was waffles and Tuesday was Pop-Tarts, and and I hated it. I hated like knowing what was coming every day. Every morning was going to be the same.
Yeah.
So why do you like it?
For me, it by the time I get to the end of the day, I know that no matter what, I've accomplished those things. So like, because I have those things that like have to be done in 3 months' time, say, even if I failed at all the other things, if this podcast fails, if the photograph exhibits fail, if no one listens to my music, all those things don't work out, then at least I've meditated every day, I've prayed, I'm flexible.
You are more flexible than me.
I've consumed, on a daily basis, I've consumed at least one fruit, at least one vegetable, and so I guess it's kind of like my baseline. So like that, if the day goes wrong, because it inevitably will go wrong, and I think like I'll always have bad days. So when those bad days happen, the the place that I fall to, I feel like is a lot less than it would be.
So your structures have nothing to do with like your work.
Yeah, no, not really. They allow. I feel like they allow me to work. They allow me to process and get my mind clear so that I can work. But yeah, in fact, I think that's kind of on purpose. That most of the time I'm trying to gear up and then work, and then at night I cool down and kind of get away from work, and that's kind of.
So do you have a structure at night or like?
Yeah, about probably, and that one's less stringent, but usually about like an hour to or like half an hour before I go to bed, I try and turn off all technology except for maybe like a light bulb, and then read 3 chapters of the Bible. And if I have a luxurious amount of time before bed, I'll read some other kind of book, and then that's it. And then I meditate for 5 minutes before bed. Yeah.
So, as I've kind of watched you,
The pipes are
yeah, that's probably really loud.
rushing.
Actually.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they can hear that.
Okay.
The indoor plumbing.
It's coming. I've kind of, as I've watched you grow up, as I've been growing up,
Yeah.
I've kind of seen you, and I always picture this too. It's like a picture in my mind of you, like you like weave in and out of things like that you do, and
Yeah.
the things you have your attention on.
Definitely.
So like, I guess I've always known you as a musician. Like that's always kind of been a constant. But acting was a big part of your life for a while, and like travel became a big part,
Yeah.
and acting not so much. And then news is now a big part.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, what do you think is coming next for you?
What is coming next?
And is it based on like the desires that you have that's next, or is it like just you fall into something that's different?
The second part of that question is a lot more involved. I think to answer that first as quickly as I can, I think when I was younger, I pursued these things because I figured that's what I was supposed to do, and not like somebody told me like, oh, you're very talented, you should go into this, although I guess that did happen at times, but more just that like I saw, I was a big Led Zeppelin fan, I love the Beatles, I love a lot of rock bands growing up, and I was like, oh, like I can do these things musically, so I want to be like them. And then I kind of followed that trend, I guess, with other things too, that I was like, oh, like I like this public figure, I'm going to follow their example to doing this. And like, so like with traveling, it was like Rolf Potts, who wrote Vagabonding, and he like, I was just like, oh, this is amazing. Like, I want to be like that dude. And like, so I would imitate that. And there's still aspects of that I do. But I think as much as possible now I'm trying to get away from imitating someone else's kind of archetype that they've set up, and just to be like, all right, do I enjoy what I'm doing today? If not, let me try and not do that anymore. And if I do enjoy that, then let me try and do that more. So I think the podcast is kind of a manifestation of that thought process. It's like I like conversation. Like for a long time, I was like, my favorite thing to do is get coffee with somebody and have a conversation. So if I could, somehow do that for a living, which is kind of what podcasting is, then that would be pretty fantastic. So I think that's kind of what guides me through those things in the bobbing and weaving that you're describing. It's more like, oh, I enjoy this today, I'm going to do this, and I pursue that. And then I do get kind of obsessed and myopic with it. But yeah, so that's...
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll ever go back to any of the things that you did? I know you said that you did it to like mimic what people have said for you to do, but...
Yeah, no, totally. I think there's a bunch of aspects of those things that I enjoy. And so I'll never stop doing music. That's something that I've been doing since, I guess I was probably 10 or earlier. So I'll always be writing music. Acting, I'm in the mood to do more. I haven't done for a while, but I'm in the mood to start some filming and maybe do some acting again. And travel, I'm trying, if I could travel all the time, and I can, but it's always time. It's more of a time thing. For those listening that think you don't have enough money to travel, you do. Like pretty much, unless you're not in the U.S. Like if you're in a third world country somewhere, then this doesn't apply to you. But if you're in the U.S., you probably have enough money to travel. But time, I don't necessarily have enough time to travel all the time. But I'm going to Paraguay later this month.
You're definitely
yeah.
Cool,
I'm buying tickets either today or tomorrow.
Woo!
So I'll always be traveling a little bit. So yeah, so I think all of those things have a part in my life, but it depends on the week or the day as to what gets the emphasis.
Do you think there's any merit to... because like our parents' kind of generation, they like have one kind of job or one field that they work in, and they keep the same field. That's like their trend that they had. Do you think there's any merit to that?
I think for certain jobs, I think you know, if I go for heart surgery, I don't really want to have a surgeon that dabbles in heart surgery work on my heart. You know, I'd want somebody who had a very consistent vocation and has been working on that piece of anatomy for many years. So I think specialization, it does come in handy for those kinds of jobs. Engineering, I think, is, you know, I don't want people building bridges who, you know, were, you know, as a painter, but I really decided to build this bridge just on the weekends. You know, that worries me. But I do think the jack of all trades, master of none mindset is really handy in the current kind of economy or market or whatever you want to call it right now. I just feel like our age group, because of technology making things move so quickly, I feel like it's at times very dangerous to get stuck in one specific focus for a long period of time, because technology has now allowed those things to change so rapidly that you'll learn something and then you'll have to learn another thing right away. So I think the jack of all trades, master of none mindset is a good one to have. But yeah, no, I think there are definitely there's merit to specializing at times. Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you the time.
That's
but,
all good.
So, okay, I'm going to start rapid fire questions.
Okay, cool. Sounds
so for my first is, what's your favorite podcast? Go.
Favorite podcast? I mean, teaching my homework, obviously.
That you don't partake in.
Then I think Radiolab has to be it. That the Radiolab does. No one else does a podcast. No one does audio storytelling as well as Radiolab.
Beg to differ.
Yeah, that's all. What's your favorite?
Well, like anything. Now I'm gonna
Audio
sound,
storytelling, I guess I should ask.
I'm going to sound dumb because I feel like I might be wrong in this, but NPR. What is that? I can't remember it.
You were listening to Serial for a while, I know.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Okay.
I need a conclusion, people. Whoever, if this woman is listening, you need to find out what happened.
Okay.
Annoying. I can't remember now, but one of the NPR.
What was the concept? I mean, Radiolab is an NPR.
I want to say the word American is in the title.
This American Life.
Yeah, there we go.
And I should say there would be no Radiolab without This American Life. This American Life definitely inspired Radiolab, but I feel like Radiolab just does it a bit better for me. But This American Life is great. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, Ira Glass, props to you.
Alcohol or coffee?
Is the question? Well, maybe I should just say
what
comes to mind. Do I work creatively better
with alcohol?
Then coffee is definitely. I work better creatively with about a cup and a half of coffee. Yeah.
In the morning or just before?
Yeah, in the morning. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, crap! I had like a bunch in my head,
That's
but
okay.
I totally forgot. What's your favorite play that you've been in?
Oh wow, it's actually an easy question. The Cradle will Rock was a play I did freshman year in college, and it was about. It's kind of like I guess a pro-union play, which makes it sound super political, but it was very clever in that it was about the first character you see is a prostitute, and that's the first character you meet. And then you meet all these other characters that in normal society you wouldn't associate with, kind of harlotry or being a prostitute. But in actuality, they're way more whore-like than the prostitute. And so that's what the play is kind of about, is how we prostitute ourselves in various ways, but get away with it because it's socially acceptable, whereas prostitution is not.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, and so,
I'd like to read that play.
Yeah, and I played Mr. in that. It was a very badass role, or at least I thought so.
Can you tell me a joke?
Tell you a joke?
Yeah, see, putting you on the spot is scary. Some of us have been talking about just jokes lately, and it's hard to just say, to think of one when someone says that. But
I mean, the one that comes to mind immediately is there's two muffins in a toaster. The one says, "Man, is it hot in here?" And the other muffin says, a talking muffin, and that's the one that comes to mind.
I need a cricket sound to play during that. I hate jokes like that. Not funny. Okay,
Sorry,
and I'll do
fail.
the last one. If you're told that you're going to die in 15, let's say 14 for you.
14 minutes. 14 minutes. What would I do?
You lost a minute.
I guess there's a conflict with the first thing comes to mind, and one of our guests said this too, and it does ring true. As a guy, there's this feeling like you should have sex. It's like find somebody and have sex with them, like that. That's the initial reaction. But I think in the reality of the moment of what that would be like, I think I would just try and find the most open space. So whether it be the beach or like if I guess right now, since we're in my basement here.
Please don't have sex with me.
No. I would try and get to like the park, I guess, like near my house. I could probably run over to the park and just like kind of lay in the grass.
Aww.
And and probably just kind of enjoy the outdoors for the last 10 minutes that I had. Yeah.
It's going to take you 4 minutes to run over there. Is that what you were factoring in?
Yeah, that's probably fair. That's kind of what? Yeah, about 4 minutes to run there.
Cool. That's very peaceful sounding.
Yeah.
Okay, that's been we've been The Teacher Ate My Homework.
Someday you'll get it. It'll be smooth.
I know.
It'll be a smooth delivery.
I just started waitressing, and I cannot get one. Like when I read the specials, I always make some sort of flub with my
You'll
tongue.
get there.
It's gonna happen, maybe. I'm Cheryl Malzin.
And I've been George Robson.
The whole time he's been George Robson.
Yeah, I have been, and I will be.
Oh dear.
All right, cool.
Bye.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah. Good day.
Hey guys, George here. Coming to you from sunny Asbury Park. Three things. Number one, leave us a review on iTunes, please. Even if you hated the show, but especially if you loved it. Just leave us a review and let us know what you think. And that drives traffic and kind of gives us more visibility and allows us to keep doing what we're doing. So please do that. Number two, if you like the show and you want more, hungry for homework, as it were, check us out at teacheratemyhomework.com. On there are show notes and links to a lot of the things we discussed in the show today. So that'll be cool for you. And number three, if you have suggestions for future guests, or if you have just general feedback on things that you want to cover that you don't want to air publicly on iTunes, you can email us at teacheratemyhomework@gmail.com. Or you can reach us at Twitter at TAMH Podcast. So that's all I got for you guys today. So I'm going to enjoy the rest of the sun. You should do the same. Talk to you later.